What's up? Welcome to Four Downs. As usual, Chris Cusack, Andrew Beaton, Nolan, here to give you the latest on Duke football. Guys, North Carolina Duke lived up to the hype. You called it the whole way, Andrew. Duke bowl eligible for the first time since 1994.
The one thing we really talked about going into this week was that Duke can repeat its rushing performance from against Virginia Tech when they only had 22 net rushing yards on the ground. What did they come up with against North Carolina? 234, the highest output in the Cutcliffe era. So after they built that early lead, they were able to control time of possession and put themselves in a situation where Renfree could make that throw to Jamison Crowder at the end of the game.
Yeah, and this, I think, is a good point to step back and just look at what David Cutcliffe has done here over the last 5 years. His first game was also my first game in the stands at Wallace Wade Stadium. It was a game against James Madison, an FCS team. I've never seen an FBS crowd so excited to beat an FCS team as it was that day. And granted, there weren't that many people left in the stands by the end. The game was delayed by 90 minutes by thunderstorms. But to take that experience and just look at what happened last weekend, where you have a sold-out Wallace Wade Stadium, students storming the field, a team that's bowl eligible, this is a completely different program than it was 4.5 years ago.
And it might keep going in that direction. They're 6-2 now. They got 4 games left. They have Florida State and Clemson, and then following that they have Georgia Tech and Miami. 2 very winnable games in a pretty weak ACC. Now they're trying to get to an ACC championship game. It seems ludicrous to say, considering the past that you just talked about. But they are in contention right now, and they may be a favorite going in.
Yeah, they only have to win 2 of those next 4 games to have a legitimate shot at the Coastal Division title, but it all starts this weekend in Florida State, where they're 28-point underdogs. And when you look at why that's the case, you really have to look at Florida State's passing attack and E.J. Manuel. He takes great care of the ball, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions on the year, and completes over 70% of his passes. But what's difficult if you're Duke is it doesn't just begin and end with their passing attack.
Yeah, it's really a 2-pronged passing rushing attack, and they have 3 more prongs in their rushing game. Granted, they've lost Chris Thompson. He's out for the year, their leading rusher on the season. But they still got 2 more guys who average 6 yards a carry on the ground. So Duke doesn't really get any break from that.
And they don't get any break on the offensive end either. Florida State's one of the best teams in the country against the run, giving up just 69 yards per game.
It's going to be a tough place to play. Florida State, one of the best teams in the ACC historically, and they're a national title contender coming into the season. Very tough team to play. Having said that, we got to make predictions on this game. Andrew, Chris, what do you think is going to happen?
I think Duke is able to hang with them, but I don't see them being able to pull this out. 38-28 Seminoles.
You know, I think Duke is riding high, a lot of positive emotions going on right now. I don't want to say it's going to be a letdown game. I just think Florida State is more talented, and Duke really hasn't matched its performance at home on the road. I see the Seminoles winning 42-17.
I think it's going to be a close game, but I think Florida State's going to pull this one out. First half, it'll be pretty close, maybe a touchdown or 2. 41-28 is the final score, I'm going to say, but this should not take away from what Duke's done thus far and what they still can do for the rest of the season. So that's going to do it for Four Downs. Once again, for Chris Cusack and Andrew Beaton, I'm Danny Nolan. Thanks a lot for joining us.